Hi and welcome to Your World. I'm Diayu Fadila and let's begin our first segment of today's episode of Your World. Let's start our first segment with an exhilarating story from China, where the world's only surviving panda triplets celebrated their 9th birthday in the Chimelong Safari Park, and also from Nepal, where the local government plans a 10-year action plan to conserve wildcats.
In a grand birthday celebration, the male panda Shuai Shuai, who is the second of the triplets, enjoyed a mouth-watering bamboo cake made with his favorite fruits and food in a dragon boat shaped enrichment display, which is a regional specialty of the province. The youngest male panda Kuku was concentrated on relishing its bamboo cake made with bamboo shoots and fruits such as dragon fruits, while taking a joyful ride in a special train made for the trio. Meanwhile, the eldest and only female panda, Meng Meng, was savoring the cake with watermelon, dragon fruit, and other favorite food in the shade of a red hat.
The Nepal government has prepared a 10-year action plan to conserve wildcats, aiming to manage them effectively and reduce human-tiger conflict. A commitment was made to mark World Tiger Day on July 29th, aiming to increase public awareness for Royal Bengal tiger conservation. Tigers are found in 13 countries including India and Laos. Nepal gained world applause after it succeeded in increasing the number of tiger population as it pledged in the Tiger Summit held in St. Petersburg in Russia in 2010. In the summit, Nepal had promised to double the population of tigers by 2022. At that time, tiger population in Nepal was just 121. The tiger's population in Nepal has grown by threefold to 355 by 2022, with government efforts and international conservation partners supporting efforts. However, managing these tigers, reducing human-tiger conflict, and ensuring safe habitats remain significant challenges for sustainable conservation.
On June 12, 2023, severely injured Tusker Agbo was treated in 20 different cases. Following the incident, elephants in Sri Lanka faced both natural and human-inflicted challenges. Sri Lanka's wildlife department officers and veterinarians treated the tusker with dedication. A medical checkup on a tusker in Tripane and Nuradapura revealed 2 bullets still lodged inside the front leg, despite some wounds being gradually healing. The team, led by the veterinarian unit, confirmed the tusker's unstable condition. The veterinarian is discussing removing bullets from the leg and administering treatment to the tusker. The calf, aged between 2 and 3 years old, remained with their mother and refused to join the herd. Wildlife officials reported that necessary treatments are being administered to the mother, and the calf were taken to the Eastern Provincial Health Management Center.
An urban wetland being built in Gardens by the Bay will be twice as large as what was originally planned. Scientists find that mangroves in that environment can capture more carbon compared to natural ecosystem useful for fighting climate change. Bay East Gardens development includes a wetland set to be completed in 2027, featuring a biological pond as the centerpiece with a mangrove and freshwater swamp. A study at Kingfisher Wetlands in Gardens by the Bay found some critically endangered species that thrive in artificial freshwater conditions, including saltwater-tolerant varieties.
In the natural environment, there's a high tide, low tide, so it moves. But in a freshwater environment, it doesn't do that. But the more important point is that the carbon content from these freshwater mangroves actually increase over the monitoring period.
Man-made wetlands can potentially capture carbon and increase biodiversity as they support local endangered and vulnerable species. Wetland habitat contributes to sustainability and offers a nature tour for those with special needs.
If that preserve nature is part of their responsibility and they still maintain the philosophy of indigenous life that has been passed down from generation to generation. Even though this village has a
in terms of the global mean temperature, they have all occurred this month.
Director of Climate Services WMO Chris Hewitt said that an almost certain likelihood one of the next 5 years will become the warmest on record and a 66% chance and more likely than not of temporarily exceeding the 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial for at least one of the 5 years. China has seen robust growth in installed capacity of renewable energy in the first half of 2023 amid the country's strenuous efforts to push green transition, with its total capacity reaching about 2.71 billion kilowatts, according to the latest report by National Energy Administration (NEA). The country's installed capacity of renewable energy reached about 1.32 billion kilowatts in H1, rising 18.2% compared with the same period last year. It accounts for 48.8% of China's total power generation capacity, historically surpassing the installed capacity of coal-based power. In breakdown, the installed capacity of wind power expanded 13.7% year-on-year to 389 million kilowatts, while that of solar power stood at about 470 million kilowatts, representing a yearly increase of 39.8%. Many villages in the district of Dang in mid-western Nepal were reeling under acute shortage of drinking water until community efforts to secure water resources were launched there a decade ago. Despite it having an abundance of wetlands, haphazard construction and lack of preservation had led to loss and deterioration of wetlands, leading to water sources dry up. After facing the severity due to water crisis, people in the community then geared up conserving wetlands and environment as a long-term solution. Now, in a span of a decade, there has been an exuberant greenery in living areas. The forests have become dense and natural springs started flowing after wetlands were searched for and preserved. Only this year, 5 conservation ponds have been constructed, and as a result, dry-up wells and tube wells have started to fill up.
Famously known for its unique designs and relatively quick speed, tuk-tuk has attracted a lot of foreigners to come to Thailand, but this eccentric vehicle produces immeasurable noise and air pollution. A Thailand startup business MoveMe provides solutions to reduce pollution and to run tuk-tuk on electricity, which is affordably and safely, with environmental friendliness in mind. Co-founder of MoveMe, Supapong Kitiwatanasak, started that the company has around 500 vehicles in the air EV fleet, and MoveMe have traveled around 50 million kilometers in terms of mileage. Since Thailand is one of the fastest aging societies in the world, this startup has found an advantage in providing service for elderly customers. Its application is easy enough to older the generation to use. Their drivers also build up a good relationship with their passengers, and the design of the tuk-tuk is also elderly friendly.
After this, we'll bring you a story from the FISU Summer World University Games, where it features cultural marketplace, where foreign athletes can experience traditional Chinese culture. And also from Indonesia, where a retro festival called the Festival Lintas Melawai revives and promotes Indonesian pop culture from the 80s and 90s. Let's take a look.
A bespoke cultural marketplace at the 31st FISU Summer World University Games has attracted crowds of foreign athletes to immerse in traditional Chinese culture. Lying within the Universiade village, the 100-meter-long street showcases a captivating array of colorful cultural and creative products, as well as traditional cultural activities such as pitchpot, tuju, and drumming. Many foreign athletes lined up to partake in a cherished traditional Chinese sport of tuju, an ancient Chinese football code enjoyed by ordinary people since 2,400 years ago. If the athletes find themselves fatigued from traversing on foot, it is plausible to sit on a refined bamboo seat while soaking oneself in the mellifluous renditions of kutseng and guqin instruments.
Souvenir House of Hero Noob was built in the architectural style of the Bana People's House. The memorabilia on display belong to Bok Noob, national hero and pride of Stor's villagers. On the other side is the resistance village of Stor, which was rebuilt to resemble the village during the resistance war against the French. The only difference is the location. The decision to resettle the village after liberations was critical for their future. The entire village of Stor was mobilized to move down the mountain for convenient water production. As part of the plan to build a resistance village, villagers were happy to donate land to the state for its construction. The state is prioritizing the construction of an irrigation dam and improving the life of the people. Thanks to these efforts, life have become more stable.
Vietnam City hosted the 5th edition of the Petrodava Dacian Festival, where hundreds of tourists and locals enjoyed demonstrations of how people lived 2,000 years ago. Both adults and children could find the secrets of crafting and fighting during Roman and Dacian times. Far away from the peaceful life inside the fortresses, the Dacian and Roman warriors used to practice a lot. All participants could admire real lessons of history about the military hierarchy, weapons, and fight techniques during that times.
A member of House of Representatives from Gorontalo province, Michael Kamaru, said Apangi Festival in Gorontalo could be one of religious tourism events in the province. According to Meiko, the festival deserved to be a religious tourism event as the number of visitors has been increasing every year. As the number of visitors increases, so does economic opportunities for local businesses. Meiko hopes the Gorontalo City Administration will allocate part of its annual budget to support the Apangi Festival.
Initiated by famous personalities of the 80s and 90s, Helmi Yahya and Danny Malik, the festival presents a unique music event with the goal of giving a fun, nostalgic experience of the 80s and 90s era to the visitors. The festival was birthed from the desire to create a retro-themed event to transport the visitors back to those eras.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Your World. I'm Diai Fadila. Thanks for watching and see you next week.